Alright folks, gonna do a video today on a air loss to the air intake. Constant air loss of the air intake on a 939 series truck. First diagnostic steps, make sure your transfer case button is out, not letting air bypass the interlock solenoid. If your problem goes away, replace the interlock solenoid. Pull it back out, it's fine. It's not doing anything bad, then you'll have to go to the next step, which is going to be make sure your brake pedal valve is all the way back up, not hanging down any. Alright, of course make sure you got air in your system first before you do all diagnostics on it. Best to hook an air compressor up to the truck, to the glad hand, and charge the system so it's not running all the time. But if this valve is pushed in and won't come back out, or if you play with it and it causes the air loss to go away and come back, then you will replace that solenoid right there, or you can bypass it. I have a video on how to bypass it. Pretty simple. If it does not fix your problem, go to the next step, which would be go to the back of the truck back here, and you will have of course you got your glad hand back here. A little different on cargo trucks. Open it, see if you have any air pressure coming out of this. If you do, we'll chase that back to the system, and that will probably be a stuck brake pedal treadle valve on it. So letting air bypass, and it's kind of hanging open. You can open it up and hear a constant hiss. If you have nothing there, go to the next step, which is going to be you need to isolate the system on which one is losing air pressure and cause out to build air. So what we're going to do is you're actually going to crawl up onto the back of the truck, and you got a few air valves. Hold on, we'll pause it for a second and crawl up onto the truck. This is your wet tank. There's your front axle to the rear tandem. Wet tank. Of course, you have an air dryer right there. All right, you got a shutoff valve here on the front. This closes up the primary side. You got an air valve back here. This closes up the secondary side. What you want to do first is you want to close off the secondary side. Close this valve. Make sure it's not real wobbly and wiggly. Sometimes they get fluttered out and they will close on their own. Close that valve. Check your air pressure. If your air pressure on your primary tank climbs to normal operating pressure, then you're solely chasing a secondary system issue. All right. If nothing happens, I mean the air pressure on the primary side won't gain any either, reverse it. Close this valve, open that valve. See if anything if it crosses up, and the secondary builds air pressure versus other side not building air pressure. Okay, secondary building pressure, primary should go flatline and stay flatline as long as the valve is closed. All right. Next step, the secondary is not building pressure at all. You're going to go to the Q2 valve in the front. This is your Q2 valve in the front. There's your radiator above it, front axle. All right, bottom line here should be white. You can see a little bit of white through that little cut right there. That is your vent line. This actually vents back to the intake and causes you some of your problems. Remove this line from the valve. All right, make sure you have air pressure in your system on the secondary side. Make sure your secondary valve is open. All right, remove it. If you have air come from the Q2 valve side on this fitting, from this side, you will replace the Q2 valve. If you have air pressure come from your line side, we'll chase it back to the back on what could be causing those problems. All right, so air from the Q2 side, replace the Q2 valve. Air from the line side, we're going to go to the next step in diagnostics. All right, next step. If your Q2 valve is not the side leaking, but your line side is the side leaking, here's your control box. To the inside of it, this top line right here, remove it off the truck. 7/8 wrench. Make sure you hold the treadle valve side. Take this cotton jacket line off. All right. If you have air pressure coming from the treadle valve side inside here, replace your treadle valve. If you have air pressure on this line here, we'll go to the next step in the chain, and we'll see what we can come up with. All right. Before you go back here, you need to open up your primary valve. If you got it closed, or open up the secondary valve, whatever. Your secondary valve shouldn't really matter either way. It should get air. Okay. First thing you want to do is get a spray bottle with some soap. Spray around your spring brake can. If you have any obvious air leaks, you know, most common problem is a blown pancake, letting air go by, especially if it's coming from on that line coming from the fire off the firewall of the treadle valve. The air is coming from the line side. You're looking at air coming from back here that's bypassing. All right, so first things first, just take the spray bottle with some soap, spray everything around. If you can't find anything, this is how you isolate it. Up here on the back of your tree, gonna be a paint on the cargo truck, but delivery, vent, service brake. So this would be your vent line. All right, see it goes into your brakes. This is your vent. Actually, yes, it is your vent. You got a delivery coming in for your service, jumping across. This is your spring brakes air send. So you want to pull off this line here on top of your tree. If you have air pressure coming out of this vent, then you know you have an issue with these two spring brake cans. If you have air coming from this line here, coming back this way, you know you have air pressure problem. You know you have a spring brake problem on your front axle, your front tandem setup. Okay, that's about the only way you can isolate it. It's the easy way to do it, because this is the return feed off the brakes. When it gets sent through, it is the base of the exhaust coming by it. So you do want to do that. You can pull it loose here and check also, but it should have this right here should actually have constant pressure. This should have pressure whenever you lock the brakes back up. It should be the vent for that. But what's going to happen is your spring brake diaphragm is going to be bad, and it's going to let it go by, and it's going to go into the service can. When the service can is going to pick it up, send it back to its vent, which is why you got it going back to the air intake. In my personal opinion, if you're a cargo truck, take this damn vent right here off, put a line on it, put a new line on, or take your other line off from up front, run it up higher, so that way you have your own. You know, it's easier to find a problem with your vents that are already open. It's, you know, just, okay, yeah, my vent there is leaking. I know what axle to start on. I ain't got to chase something down. So that should cause most of those problems to go away. The only thing you can have a problem with is the air interlock valve up there on the transfer case, which has got to be this right here. You can't smack it with a hammer. It does have a vent. The line actually right here is the vent. You can pull it off, see if you have air come out of it constantly. It's just one of them things. Another thing that does happen, which will happen is that this interlock solenoid here will actually go bad, put air into the transfer case, pressurize the transfer case, and then let air come back on the vent. It's a very uncommon occurrence, but it does happen. So look at, if you have any questions, let me know. This is a simple thing where it doesn't want to build air pressure. You got a pressure problem, but it's big at the intake. My best I can help you for right now. Have any more questions you can ask, and we'll go from there.